Thumbs up if you can see the PowerPoint. Fantastic. So hopefully you're all here to hear about how to make more money. As I explained, this is a more practical session, so simple, positive, and practical ways to make money in your business right now. So as I said, I've been a business mentor for about 20 years, and I'm also a money coach, because what I find is when the practical business stuff doesn't work, money coaching does. So one way or another, I will make sure that you make money, because I love to see people make money, particularly in businesses that they love, because you spend it in the community, you make investments, you have savings and resilience, which right now is fantastic to have. So yeah, I'm all about making more money in an ethical and lovely way. So that's what we're doing today, making more money. So how business mentoring works. So what I'm going to do for the next hour is I'm going to treat you like you're a client and talk to you as I would a client. So you're going to have a business mentoring session, but obviously because I can't ask you all individually and I can't work on your businesses personally, I'm just kind of guessed what might be the issues. So I've just picked a few things that are particularly popular. And so I want to thank all the people who told me what you do, because that is really helpful to know what it is you do. So welcome. So how business mentoring works. Everybody does it slightly differently, but for me, my aim is to get you focused. So by attending a webinar like this, you suddenly go, oh yes, business. I remember that stuff. I remember how to do that. I'm going to do that. And it reminds you of things you already know. If you're new to business and you're just setting up, then you might be hearing this for the first time. And that's fine. Some of it's going to go over your head. Other people are going to have more knowledge. You've got to start somewhere. So just think, right, this is the first time I'm hearing it. I'll just listen and do what I can. And every step is a step forward. So don't try and capture all of it in one go. And as I say, there will be a recording this time, so you can always watch it again. What I'm going to do is ask you the 5 key questions that I generally ask every client. And that kind of tells me where in your business we need to work on. And I'm also going to show you 3 financial concepts, because I'm really quite passionate about money, and I think you can kind of play around with it and bring your creativity to it, not in an illegal way, in a fun way to do it legally. Like, how can I make more money? So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so as I say, we've got quite a selection of people, and rather than introduce yourselves, which I know can put people on the spot, I thought I'd just put up a kind of selection of who's on the call. Now, there's lots of people registered that aren't on the call, but we do have coaches and consultants, designers, photographers and artists, teachers and trainers, people selling beautiful products, and schools, salons and kind of tutors. So as you could probably notice, they're service businesses mainly. So I'm going to gear the presentation more to service businesses, because that's who's on the call, and so therefore you get what you ask for, or what's relevant. Okay, so the purpose of a business. Now, this is something I used to talk through a lot when I was a business mentor with the Prince's Trust. I used to see 8 clients a day, and often they only had one session, particularly if I was doing a contract by the job centre or something like that. Somebody might have been unemployed for a while, have a disability, be a lone parent, and they would say, actually, I don't want a job. I'd quite like to set up in business. And hopefully they get to see me, and we'd have an hour to get to know them, find out what their business was, find out whether they've got customers, work out whether their business will make money, tell them all the legal stuff, create a cash flow forecast, and send them on their way, which is a lot to do in an hour. And I got quicker and quicker and quicker at it over the years. And so I'm quite used to turning things around quite quickly and spotting what's not working, what would work in a business. And that's how I work. And those businesses are measured. So from the businesses I helped, 75% of them were still in business in a year. So I'm quite pleased. And that's how I measure my results, is, are you still in business? Are you making money? Because for me, business mentoring is all about, the purpose of a business. And the purpose of a business, whether it's a dream business, a hobby business, a make a difference to the world business, and I know we've got a few of those today, just a business or a charity business, the purpose of a business is to make money. And that, if you look, is the theme. It doesn't matter whether it's your dream or just a business. And in fact, when it's your dream business, or you're turning a hobby into a business, sometimes it can be more challenging because you run it one way or you have a dream of how it looks, and you have to kind of deal with reality as it comes to you and adapt, which can be quite tricky if it's been your dream for many years to do something. So just the business is often easier, which is when you see people doing, window cleaning or gardening or things like that. That can be just simpler. If it's just I just need to make some money, this is my skills, let's do it. When it's this dream and we have all this emotion attached, it can get more challenging, but it doesn't mean that general business doesn't work. What tends to happen is people try it and then go, actually, I could do with a bit of help. And we just apply a bit of business theory and it just kind of puts them on the right path and they start making money and then they can grow. And so that's what it's about. Charities, just say a little about charities. So I have set up quite a few charities, but I usually avoid them because mostly people want to run a charity so they don't have to deal with the making money bit. But actually, when you run a charity, you have to deal with both the raising money and the paying people to deliver the charity. So it's actually much more difficult. And it doesn't surprise me that women often run charities, which is more difficult than running a normal business. So just to bear that in mind. So it doesn't matter whether it's a dream, a hobby, a charity, or you're just out to make a difference. If your business doesn't make money, then you will need to get a job. And getting a job's great, and you might run part-time a job and a business for a while. That can work really, really well. It takes the pressure off you to make your business pay, particularly if you're just starting out. So that's the purpose. So it's good to remind ourselves that the purpose is to make money, but you can also make a difference and do all the other things you want to do. Okay. So let's just be clear that just because the purpose of the business is to make money, we don't suddenly have to start wearing, pinstripe suits. We definitely don't need to start being arrogant or spend lots of money. So people have lots of preconceived notions about what a business is and what it isn't. Essentially, a business is when you give something of value and someone else pays you money. That's a business. And it doesn't matter whether it's done at the school gates or whether it's done in international corporate. It's still business. So don't think you have to become anything other than yourself. Please just be yourself and make more money. That's it. You don't have to add anything else, just those two things. Brilliant. So let's talk about small business planning. So it's quite interesting because business planning has been out of fashion for a little bit, but with the situation the last few months and excuse me, the self-employed support, people suddenly had to look at their tax returns and their finances and gone, oh, actually, maybe I should do something about this. And business planning is a really useful way to approach your business, and I try and make it as simple as possible. So these are the 5 questions that I normally ask people. So what I'd like you to do, if you haven't got a notepad and pen, to go and grab one and then answer these questions. So the first one, and sometimes this trips people up for years and years and years. They can be in business for 20 years and they still struggle to answer this question. So don't worry if you can't. So it's, what do I offer? What do I offer? So for me, business mentoring and money coaching, it can be quite simple. What do you offer? Okay, the next question is, do I have customers or a plan to get them? Do I have customers or a plan to get them? So I do marketing, and usually what I do is work out the shortest route from you to your customers to how to get you paid as quick as possible. If you want anything more advanced, I would highly recommend Chloe Morris from Pink Flamingo Marketing. She's a marketing mentor, and she can take you from idea to selling on Instagram and all through marketing strategy and all that kind of stuff. I'm just kind of like, right, let's just make money. So I'd recommend, if this is number 2 is the area that you need a bit of help on, I'd recommend Chloe. And in fact, we've decided that working together gives people the best of everything. So we've formed a group called Nurturing Business Growth Circle. That's a 2 Zoom calls a month to kind of support people with expertise, accountability, and a few other bits that I'll, business planning, particularly financial planning rather, and goals and marketing and kind of just the whole thing to just kind of get you going, give you a bit of growth spurt over the next 3 months. So yes, if you want marketing, I'd recommend Chloe. Next one, do they pay me enough to live on? Do they pay me enough to live on? So this is both, do you charge enough and do you have enough customers in order to make a living? So this is the one we're going to look at because it's the one I find that people struggle with the most. It's also a little bit complicated, but I'll explain that. Am I legal, qualified and insured? So people often get a bit, am I legal? I don't know. But often if you just find out, once you know, that's it, there's no more work to be done. So for example, if you're a coach, there's no legal requirements at all to be a coach. I'm both insured and a member of the Association of Coaching because I think it's important, but there's no requirement for it, and I am qualified as well. I went to the University of Warwick. So are you legal? Is in your profession, is there any legal requirements? In terms of tax, usually if you're in the UK, it's one phone call to the tax office to tell them that you started in business. It is that simple. So don't get fretty about it. Just, you know, just find out. I'm certainly happy to tell you, no problem at all. Or ask somebody in your industry, or just find out for yourself. But don't fret about it. It's my kind of top advice here. And the last one, which only happens in my dreams, is that clients come with a financial plan. So do I have a financial plan for the next 3 to 12 months? Do I have a financial plan for the next 3 to 12 months? So if you haven't got one, don't worry, no one does, like very few people. If you've been my client a year, you'll have one, but other than that, not many people have them. And so this is something we're going to be doing in Nurturing Business every month. So you get used to creating a little financial plan for yourself every month. But right now, what we're going to do is talk about, do they pay me enough to live on? But before we get there, any questions? So how are we all doing? How's everybody doing? Any questions? No questions? Really? You're all fine? Okay. Should we carry on? Let's go back then. Okay, questions. So moving on. Okay, so we've looked at those 5 questions. We're now going to look at number 3. Do they pay me enough to live on? And so breathe, you know, every business starts with no customers and builds up to too many customers, hopefully. That's what we're looking at. And how you get there is you look at different aspects. And I like to call it playing with money, because it is about, shall I do that or shall I do that? So if I show you my little graph, my little plan, you can see it's like, do they pay me up to live on? So how much do I need to live on? So normally people can't answer this question, but I think now everybody knows how much they need to live on because that's been brought to the fore. Then how much do they need to pay me? So this is about pricing, and that's a whole subject in itself, and I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go into pricing, but it's also how they pay me, and do I have any payment systems, and what do I offer? And it's kind of the little more in that one. The next one is, do I have enough customers? And so this is back to either working out how many customers you need and getting kind of, as I say, playing with the finances, playing with the money, or going to see Chloe for marketing. And then what are my business costs? So actually, what do you need in order to run your business? So what we're going to do today is to look at payment systems and business costs. So what we've done is ask the first 5 questions, which is the first level of what's happening in your business. And then we're going down a level. And what I find is that you need to answer all the 5 questions before you go to the next level, because it's very easy to get really into one aspect of business. But that generally doesn't make you money. You need to actually look at all of them in order to move to the next level. Okay, so how much do they pay me? So this question is actually more about you than the customers. So it's your pricing, it's your values, it's your payment systems. So it's about the you bit of it as opposed to how much do they pay you, customers pay you, which is the customer bit. So what we're going to look at today is your payment systems. And what I recommend is that you get paid in advance. So can anyone think why get paid in advance, and have a think in your business how you could get paid in advance? So the advantages of getting paid in advance is that you always get paid for your work. There's no worrying, will I get paid? I've done the work, will they pay me? Will something happen? Particularly at the moment, we don't know how financially stable even big businesses are. So it's really worth getting paid in advance if you can. You don't have to chase customers. I don't know about you, but chasing customers is not fun, I find. And when I used to hire out tablecloths, so I had my first business was hiring out tablecloths for weddings and events, chasing customers was part of the everyday, like weekly chores that needed to be done. And it was one of the reasons I ended up selling the business, because I thought I really don't want to spend my time chasing customers for payment. And I got very, very good at it in order to minimize the work, but I still was like, right, I've had enough of this. I want to get paid in advance because it's just much easier. And the other thing is it keeps your bookkeeping super simple. So if you get paid in advance, you get paid, you do the work, that's it, it's in your books. Otherwise, you've got to have a whole credit control system of, okay, I've done the work, but they haven't yet paid me. Then do I need to send a statement? Do I need to chase them? Have I spoken to them when I sent the letter? And it becomes this whole system of chasing money, which, to be honest, not many people like admin, not many people like asking for money, and not many people like bookkeeping. So unless you love those three things and you really want to give people credit because you just love them and you want to just give them your money, please try and avoid that. And the quickest and easiest way to avoid that is to get paid in advance. So I'm sure you're thinking, yes, but how do I get paid in my industry in advance? So one of the ways is to ask nicely. This is super simple, but it works such a treat. So let me give an example. A lot of people are a bit uncomfortable asking for money and say, could I possibly, would you mind? Do you think you could? I've got a bit of paper here. Perhaps I could send you an email. And they never actually say, could you pay me? Or they go the other way, get really angry. I want my money. Why haven't you paid me? And they get really angry. And nobody wants to deal with somebody who's angry, or if they don't know what they're talking about. So if you can just look at someone cool, calm and collected, here's my invoice, please will you pay me? Or my payment terms are payment in advance, please pay me. They will. And I've tried this a lot in lots of different ways. I've tried it in corporate environments. So I used to work for the Birmingham Chamber of Commerce, and they paid everyone a monthly in arrears. And I said, but my payment terms are payment in advance. And they all just looked at each other and went, oh, I don't know whether we can do that. Can we do that? I don't know. We need to ring accounts. And they said to me, would you mind waiting? I said, not a problem. So they rang accounts to say, could they pay me in advance? And there was some discussion, and they decided that the bookkeeping system they had, the payment system they had, was they could not pay me in advance. And I went, oh. And then they said, but what about if we pay you weekly? So if you give us an invoice on a Friday, we'll definitely pay you by the following invoice. I said, well, I suppose for you, I could allow you to pay weekly as a special arrangement, as an exception to the rule. And they were like, oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I came out going, yay, because I got paid weekly when everyone else is being paid monthly. And that has saved me so many times in my career of somebody having bad debts or going out of business and not getting paid. So asking nicely and just being calm and relaxed will really work. The second one is to take card or online payments. So last year, it's 2019, less than 50% of people use cash, particularly when buying services. So you might use cash at the shop, but very few people now carry around wadges of money to pay for services. So being able to take card payments or online payments will make it massively easier. And also they record it all for you, drop straight into your bank account. I know some people kind of wince at the fees, but you've got to ask, I ask myself, is 3% going to save me running a whole credit, system? And I'm like, yeah, definitely. For me, it's definitely worth that 3% in order to get the money up front and in my bank account straight away when they book. So take card or online payments. There's lots of new things now. If you've not looked at it, it's worth re-looking at it. Little squares and PayPal and little machines and things that are much cheaper than they used to be. And the other thing is add it to your payment terms. So people like to know what's going on. So if you say to people, this is what I do, my payment terms are payment in advance, then they know about it, they're expecting it, and you don't spring it on someone. There's nothing worse than going to do something with somebody and they go, oh, but you've got to pay now. And I was like, well, why didn't you tell me? Or what annoys me now is I go and buy something and they're like, no, pay me later. I'm like, no, can I just pay you now? And one of the reasons to do it beforehand is, particularly if you do something like complementary therapy or art or something with a really lovely feeling associated with it, is if you take the money up front, then when they're having the lovely feeling thing, you don't then end it with, and now can I have my money? Because it's not only you that might have an issue with money, often your clients do as well. So by separating the money from the service, then you don't mix those emotions up and they're left with that lovely positive service. So then instead of saying, please can you pay me, you're saying, can I have a testimonial? So yeah, definitely add it to your payment terms. So that's on your website, on your invoices, tell people in person. So just try and be normal, natural. As I say, cool, calm, and collected is my kind of recommendation on this one. So thank you, because I know you've all filled out my little questions when you registered for today. And that's another way of getting paid in advance effectively. And I have to credit Chloe with this one, which is find the questions you need, because it enabled me to tailor my webinar to the people on the call. But also I asked you a question about money. So, because what I wanted to know is how much could you hear in figures and numbers and spreadsheets before you started to go, ah, because that's really useful to know. And so lots of people put a work in progress. We had quite a few positives and a couple of fantastics, but many of you put a work in progress, so you're not alone. And I put another couple of slides in for you, just so you give you some money, slip in a bit of money transformation. Okay, make it as easy as possible for you and your customer. So try not to be weird about money. People are weird about money. They go, no, don't pay me now. Oh no, I can't deal with money. So, you know, I can't ask for money. Oh, how much? My prices. You know, people can't pay you if they don't know how much you charge. Don't pay me now, they say. Or, oh, I'm no good with money. Or, oh, my partner does the bookkeeping. Oh, I don't deal with that. No, I'm the artistic creative one. You know, I can't deal with books and money. So this is what people say to me all the time. So don't worry if you say this. You know, you're not bad or wrong or anything. People say this all the time. And I hope that you'll start to notice yourself saying it. That's why I'm putting this slide up. Notice yourself saying, oh no, I'll email you with my prices. Or, yeah, no, don't pay me now. Just notice that. Because if we go back to the primary purpose of business is to make money, actually we want to try and move from saying these. Now I've just changed one word in each sentence. I can ask for money. My prices are clear. Please pay me now. I'm good with money. My partner helps me with the bookkeeping. I'm in business and I get paid in advance. So just by changing one word, just make it just slightly more positive, you can move your money from being negative and pushing it away to being positive and bringing it to you. So yeah, be cool, calm and collected when in doubt. So that's just a little extra for those people who's, you know, I'm a money coach. I'm always going to shove in a bit of money transformation. Okay, any questions? I think last time nobody had any questions, so quick. Any questions? Any raise of hand? No questions? No, it sounds like we'd like to keep going and finish early, or questions at the end. Okay, moving on. So we're back to, do they pay me enough to live on? And so we've looked at payment systems. So now we're going to look at, what are my business costs? And the question for me in your notepad is, what is your largest cost? Do you know what it is? And if you do, write it down. Okay, let me give you some ideas. If you're not sure, could be your rent, cost of products, or training are usually the three most popular. And the reason I ask this question is because reducing the largest cost will have the most effect. So I remember when I used to hire out tablecloths, I went on a course and they were talking about reducing your telephone bill. And I thought, I'm wasting my time here. Everybody calls me. My telephone bill's £150 a year. It's nothing, like nothing. It's less than 0.01% of my total costs. Whereas my laundry bill was £40,000. So I thought, if I can reduce my laundry bill by 10%, that would have a huge impact on my finances. It would give me 4 grand. That would be a nice holiday, I thought. And so that's what I did. But what I did was got really creative with it. I sat down and thought, right, how can I make more money without increasing this laundry bill? And so I played around with the figures and got really creative with it. And I saved between 40 and 60,000 a year for every year afterwards I ran the business, because I found another way to do my business without having to use a laundry. So kind of focusing on this largest cost rather than worrying about all the other ones can be really lucrative. So with your largest costs, here's some questions to answer. Is it essential? So is it essential? So my laundry, yeah, it was essential until I found a way to make it not essential. How could you make more of it? So if you've got to spend the money, how can you make more out of that money? So for example, in London, most restaurants, most cafes who are open sort of 6 till 3, rent the premises out in the evening from 6 till midnight, so that it gives them a second income, because the cost of rent and rates is so high. So that's a really way you've got to pay rent, but how can you make more of it? Could I reduce it? So maybe it's something that actually you think, well, do you know, that's not as essential as I thought. I could reduce that right down, or I could reduce it perhaps 1 year and spend the next year rather than always spending it. So could you reduce it in any way? Are there any alternatives? So with products, that's a particular one. Are there any alternative products you could use? Any alternative ways to package it, ship it, all those sort of things? And often it's the holy grail of things that you thought, no, I can't change that, which is where the money is. So are there any alternatives? And finally, what if I get creative about it? So that's my kind of linen hire story. Get creative about my largest cost, saving me thousands. I bought a flat in London afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. And as you're all service businesses, I've picked this one. So CPD, or continuing professional development, or training. So what I find is most people spend between £5,500 a year on training, which is quite a lot of money, whether it's online or in person, whether, you know, some industries you have to do it. So I've used this as an example to answer my questions with, to give you some kind of stimulus and some ideas about how you might look at things. So is it essential? So probably depending on your industry. So the coaching industry is not essential, but it is essential if you're a member of an association, you have to do so many hours. How could you make more of it? Well, what I notice is people never record all their hours. You know, they might read an article, watch a YouTube video or a book, do some research for a client, a particular client with a particular issue, case studies, all that sort of thing. They don't necessarily record all their hours on that. And then they get to the end of the year and think, oh no, I'm 8 hours short. And they kind of put themselves on a last minute training course, which is possibly expensive. Whereas if they'd recorded all their hours as they went along, they wouldn't have needed it. Next is, could I reduce it? So if you plan your training in advance, so this is what I do with the customer I spoke to today. We planned her training 3 years in advance. She didn't really like it, I have to say. She was like, but I want to do it. I was like, you can. When do you want to fit it into your schedule? Because often people who are interested in what they do schedule themselves to really complicated technical courses that take up a lot of time and require a lot of homework. And although you might enjoy them, and you're welcome to do them in your personal time and even put through the cost through the business, be prepared that that's not necessarily a business cost, an essential business cost that you need to spend. Alternatives. So one of the things, I've been talking to the CPD accreditation assessor, and most organizations, from reflexology to coaching, will let you use 10% of your hours for business or marketing training. So effectively training in how to run your business, which is really useful, because I find that a lot of people need that rather than to learn more of what they already know. So that means this hour you spent today, you can put that down as your CPD. So my name, what it was, business planning, how to make more money, webinar. So you can put that down as business training. And as I say, do you really need to know more about what you do? Because otherwise you become this super expert, but if you've got no clients, you've got no one to share it with. So get some clients. That's the motto there. And as I say, get creative with it. So writing and publishing your own articles, which is free, it might not bring you money, but it probably will attract more customers. So as opposed to reading an article or training a course, you could write your own, and it should attract customers, and it should definitely, if you do a whole course, will make you more money. And it doesn't have to be a big long course. It could just be a 3-hour workshop or a 2-hour workshop. But all that is eligible usually for CPD. So instead of spending 5,000 a year, you could earn 1,000 a year, or mix the CPD, so some of it you get paid for and some of it you pay out, so that it becomes neutral, so it's no cost to it at all. So that's an example of what you can do with the largest cost, and I've just picked one, and so to give you an example. Excuse me. So the summary is, we've done, oh, it's very hot, isn't it? We've covered simple business planning, so that's my 5 questions. And then we've gone down a level to look at, do customers pay me enough to live on? Then we've looked at getting paid in your payment systems. Excuse me. And finally, we've talked about playing with your largest cost. So all of those will help you make more money. And as a bonus, I put, try not to be weird about money. It'll take a while. And we all find weirdness. It's quite, I mean, I find it fascinating. But so when you find something, you think, oh, I never realized I did that. It's great. Celebrate it, because you've noticed it. And noticing it is the first step. So there's always a webinar offer. So today I showed you how my business mentoring works. So I would have worked through that with you on your business rather than generically. So imagine if this was personalized to you and your business. So me kind of going, right, let's get the calculator out. Let's how we can work out how you can make some money. So I'd like to offer you 1 hour of business mentoring for £75 or €85 as a special offer. And that's valid for 2 weeks. So you can book it via Calendly, the link below, or I will send a follow-up email from tonight to include the recording, and it'll have a link to the webinar offer as well. So I should get that hopefully within an hour. Just depends how long it takes me to do the recording. And what I offer normally, because I know many of you don't know me, is I offer business mentoring. Normally I do 2 hours for £150, though you can split it so we can get really into your business. I also do money coaching, which is where we transform your relationship to money. So if you're working and things aren't quite working or not working as well as you think they should be, money coaching is great to just transform that to the next level, make you more money. I also offer money retreats if you want to kind of deep dive into your money beliefs. If you've noticed you had quite a few of those little sentences and you think, oh, how do I kind of let go of those? The money retreats for you. We are talking about working out how to do it online, but it's not there yet. And lastly, the Nurturing Business Growth Circle that I talked about, that Chloe and Morris, marketing mentor, and I are doing together. So we'll be starting that on the 2nd of July. And it's, you sign up for 3 months, and it's like a bit of a growth spurt, and we'll cover financial planning and marketing, personal business growth. So kind of my purpose in life is to transform people's relationship to money. And I do that through money coaching, and I do that through business. Because what I found is that the business practical side takes you so far, and then you need a bit of money transformation, and then it's back on the business practical side. And, you know, if you keep going, doing those, you'll just keep growing your business until, you know, you say to me, I've had enough. I want to retire or do something else. So yes, that's what I do. So that's the final webinar. So I'm hoping you've got some questions for me now, or you're just desperate to rush off and implement all my suggestions into your business.